Deep conversations with the right people are priceless, and ideas are formed in the crucible of authentic, connected, and sometimes controversial conversations. No ideas are off the table because why would they be? Join us on Inquisitive Souls as we lead with curiosity, empathy, and a massive heaping of juvenile humor. Join us on this learning journey. There's something I really love about recording podcasts, or not really, well, I guess it is podcasts, but really a monologue at early in the morning. It's 5:40 a.m. and I like to ramble when I start my day. I made a podcast about this, actually. It's called Expressive Writing. It doesn't have to be writing, but there's something really beneficial about just barfing out what's in your head every day. So, I wanted to talk about the whole parenting thing. And Tanya and I had a really interesting conversation last night over dinner. We went on date night, and which you do every week, and had a really great meal, actually, with really excellent customer service, which is such a treat, and unfortunately a little more rare than I would like. But regardless, we're talking about Chloe and that whole thing. And you know what? One thing that's been really interesting is, well, it's not interesting, but we made a decision when Tanya, came into our lives and became the girl's mom, that it was going to be 50-50 parenting. And I don't know that we consciously chose that, or I don't remember, actually. I'm sure we talked about it lots, but I mean, my feeling was always that you're here, you're invested, you've obviously made a commitment, and like, this just makes sense. I don't want it to be where I'm the primary parent and all that kind of stuff. And it worked really, really well. But we were talking last night, and I think it's actually not, I think it's Tanya being a quote step parent. And I mean, I even cringe saying that word because she's been their mom way longer than Cindy was ever their mother. But she is a step parent. And I think one of the things that's been starting to cause some stress, is that Chloe is pushing back against that in some way. And so I've been doing some reading on step parenting and all that kind of stuff. And, I mean, you can get a million different points of view, I guess. But what I find is interesting is there's, a fair amount of articles out there, whether it's in Psychology Today or, like on psychology sites, or whether it's in, personal blogs or whatever, that talking about the step-parent relationship and how, especially with teenagers, it's the stepmom. And I don't know if it's different between stepmom and stepdad. I'm sure it is in some way, but the stepmom takes a step back and lets the biological dad, in this case, handle more of the parenting decisions as it relates to the kids, because their relationship is just different. And the way the kid interacts or feels about that relationship is obviously different. And so we were talking about that last night, and I think we might do that. And it felt very light. Sometimes it's been feeling a little bit lately like it's been kind of pushing a rope or whatever, like it's not making any progress. And not making any progress is not the right way to put it, but Chloe's becoming quite resistant, I would say. And so for Tanya to be able to let up control and hand more of that over to me. And I mean, I'll be honest, there's been so many times where I've said, just ask your mother, because Tanya's she cares about more things at a greater level of granularity than I do. And so I think inadvertently we have created a dynamic where she's in an untenable position. And I feel like I need to say, like, things have been really great for a long time. And this is just another evolution in that journey. We've come into a different phase, and we're just having a lot of ongoing conversations about how to handle it, which I think is so, so important. And I tend to be more, let's say, laissez-faire about parenting than Tanya is. So, I was reading an article this morning, and basically it was written by a stepmom, and she, I think it was, I think it was written by a stepmom, and she was just talking about how a number of articles said this actually about how stepmoms tend to be want to control their stepchildren, and how stepmoms, where a biological parent is able to more easily just accept, inane teenage behavior, like, bad attitude or whatever, as just like water off a duck's back. I read a couple articles by stepmoms saying that it was very hard for them to take that, and they wanted to control things. And it's kind of true. Like when Chloe's being a bit douchey, it doesn't like it. It's annoying a little bit, but it doesn't really bother me. Like, I don't take it as, I in no way take it as an indictment on me as a human being or a parent. I just recognize it for what it is. She's being a douchey teenager. And I mean, I was a douchey teenager I'm not going to say that word anymore because it's starting to sound weird. But I was that way for most of my teenage years, right? So probably all of my teenage years, and probably for some years before and after. And so we just started having this conversation last night, but I think what's going to happen, we're going to experiment with or continue to talk about is, when it comes to some more of this stuff, Tanya's going to take a step back. This is what we're thinking anyways, take a step back, and I'm going to take a big step forward. And when it comes to things like discipline or, just setting parameters and boundaries and all that kind of stuff, I think I'm going to take on more of that role. And that felt very light to me because I feel very comfortable doing that. I think Tanya's just tired, right? And I think, like, now that Chloe's been staying at her friend's house, we saw her yesterday, but she's been staying at her friend's house for the week. And she seemed a little more grown up, actually, even though it's only been like 3 days. It's kind of, not fending for herself by any stretch of the imagination. But, I think this experience might be good for her. But, for Tanya, I miss Chloe quite a bit. And for Tanya, it feels very light that Chloe's not here right now. And I don't want that to sound bad. Like she's getting a break. Like we're all getting a break. And for Tanya, that feels very light. And, so when we talked about the idea of me stepping in, I think she's just ready. Tanya's ready for a change. She wants to have a lighter, more, enjoyable relationship with Chloe, and I'm more than willing to step up. But what we're going to have to do is Tanya and I are going to have to talk about what that, we're going to have a lot of conversations about what that looks like, because I'm much more, I would tend much more to go, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I care about the bigger things like, trust and reliability and all those things. And I mean, we also care about, both of us obviously care about that there's a minimum level of, not a minimum level, but like there's a set of requirements as it relates to being a member of this family. Like, that you do the chores we assign to you, and that you tell us where you are, or not necessarily tell us where you are, but, again, that you're reliable. But there's things you got to do to be part of this family. And once those things are done, like go to school and, try your best and all that kind of stuff. And when those things are done, I don't get too worked up about too much other stuff. And so we're going to have a lot of ongoing conversations about what letting go looks like. And if I'm going to take on more of this role, then I'm going to be much more inclined to give more freedom than Tanya might be more inclined to do. Or I might be more inclined to give more freedom without going into like this long drawn out conversation about all this stuff, all these considerations that Tanya thinks about that I don't normally think about. So we'll see what happens. I mean, but what I think is really cool about it is, that we are going through this phase together as a married couple who are committed to one another and have a very, collaborative relationship, and trying to be the kind of parents that make sense and that our kids need, and that what we need as a couple and a family. And it doesn't mean that it's not challenging. Like, of course we have some challenging conversations about it. But it's not something that's dividing us. I think it's something that's actually bringing us closer together. And that's pretty fucking awesome, because it can be kind of stressful sometimes, And so as we navigate this new phase, we'll see what happens. It feels good to me too. And what we've been talking about kind of Tanya letting go a little bit and me stepping up and taking on that role. It feels good to me because it feels actually easier for me to do that. So I guess this is the biological thing. I guess I'm starting to, this is really turning into a fucking ramble, but I'm really starting to appreciate that the importance of biology. More so than I probably had before. I guess for a long time, I just always thought, well, she's here. She's their, first of all, their mom is dead. Their biological mom is dead. Tanya stepped in. She's been there, for like 8 years, basically been their parent. They've been calling her mommy for 8 years. And so I guess I don't know if I dismissed the importance of biology or just didn't really spend a whole lot of time thinking about it, but it seems like that is a contributing factor to what's been going on right now. So I'm really looking forward to, changing the direction a little bit, navigating this together and seeing what happens. So again, like everything else as it relates to life and it relates to parenting, like I fucking don't know if this is the right thing to do or not, but we gotta, we're willing to try something different and we'll just keep talking and, try to keep the lines of communication open with Chloe as best we can. And, we'll see what this brings. And, but it feels good to me. And ultimately, we're trying damn hard to do our best. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters is we're trying to do our best and we're trying to continually get a little bit better, both individually and as a couple. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Inquisitive Souls. And thank you for listening to the Inquisitive Souls podcast, where we lead with curiosity and empathy, and we try to stimulate amazing, connecting, and transformative conversations. And if you want to find out more, please look up the Inquisitive Souls page on Facebook or send me a message on Facebook, and I'll always respond to you. We'd love your feedback on how to make this show better and to learn how to help you have better conversations. Until next time, my friends.